Hello everybody, it's Emily and I'm coming back with the second video in a series that I started in June centered around sustainability and the summer. So these tips apply not just in the summer, they apply anytime, but I felt they might be particularly relevant during the summer. And again, these are not designed to be comprehensive or exhaustive lists of sustainability tips for the summer. I'll leave the first one that I did below. In that one I focused on sustainability and food. For this one I'd like to focus on travel and sustainability, and I'll be back with another one dealing with sustainability and energy during the summer. So without further ado, let's get into a few tips. So with the warm sun comes hopefully better weather that is more conducive to public transportation or biking. During the rain, that might not be as much of an option, or at least as pleasant of an option, but there are going to be plenty of days hopefully during the summer that are bright and sunny and very conducive to, instead of traveling around by car during the day to go run errands or go see the city or wherever you happen to be, getting a bike and riding your bike around, or using public transportation as a way to get around as an alternative. I happen to live in a place with pretty decent public transportation. I live in the DC area, and so most of how I get around is on public transportation just because it happens to be really good and typically a more convenient way to travel around anyway. But especially in the summer, it's really good to, if you can, just take that extra effort and find out what public transportation options might be available to you that might be easier to use in the summer when the weather is a bit nicer or at least a bit warmer. This is also a season where a lot of outdoor things can happen, and even something as simple as just outdoor events that maybe the city might put on, different entertainment events, different nature events, walking, hiking, things like that. So it's a good time to just be able to explore and go out and about in the city and be able to learn public transportation routes that maybe you aren't as familiar with, and the more familiar you become with those routes, it can be easier to use them at any time of the year. So this is a great time to learn those transportation routes and kind of get into the habit of using public transportation or bikes or other ways to get around that maybe don't involve driving your own car. But with summer can come a lot of travel, and of course that can be very carbon intensive. One option, if you want to get away and need a break but don't necessarily want to travel, drive, fly to another place, is to have a staycation. Set aside a long weekend, if you can, set aside some time for yourself to just go out and explore new parts of the city or wherever you live that you maybe haven't explored before, or nearby towns or cities or states that may be a little bit easier to travel to or less carbon intensive to travel to, but still might allow you to kind of have a slight change of scenery, give a new perspective on the things that are around you that maybe you don't always get a chance to explore. And that way it can be a nice break, it can be kind of a shift in perspective, but maybe doesn't necessarily have to involve a lot of carbon intensive travel. Another option, if you're looking to get away for a little bit, get some nature in, actually go out, hike, go see some natural beauty that might be around you. One option to research is leave no trace camping. There's starting to be more and more campsites that are actively trying to work really hard on sustainability, and I'll put more information in the description below about leave no trace camping, but that's another option that could be fun to explore if you like camping, you want to get out. I definitely need to get out a little bit more, and I miss camping. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, so I think one thing I might do, especially if it's a nice long weekend, is explore what options I might have for leave no trace camping. And the area in Virginia has a lot of really, really great camping, and so doing a little bit of research about that and finding campsites that are trying to prioritize that could be a lot of fun. Another thing to research as well is green health products that might be more associated with the summer and going outdoors more. So for example, doing some research on green sunscreen products, green skincare products, things like that that can help you as you go outside more is another thing that's going to be really good to keep in mind. And just making sure that as you're going on these travels, that the more you plan, the easier it is to pack exactly what you need and not bring anything that you might not need to, or not waste anything that you might not need to, and that can also mean you can be a little bit more conscious about exactly what you're packing and make sure that you can include those reusable items. That will mean that you need to kind of grab last minute things less that tend to be less sustainable, things that are just more convenient that we can grab. So the better you plan and prepare for those travels, that could be important in terms of sustainability during those trips as well. And that kind of leads me to my last suggestion, which is to do research on what reusable things you might have access to that you might be able to get that are ultimately less environmentally impactful. So I know there's a lot of really difficult choices that need to be made in terms of what kind of products you want to support, and there definitely can be a lot of times where products are produced with sustainability in mind theoretically, but when you actually look at how those resources are sourced, what the ultimate lifetime impact is of those products, something that can be marketed as green or an alternative to a non-reusable item that needs to be disposed of relatively quickly, maybe ultimately in terms of lifetime impact aren't necessarily less impactful. Being sure to do research on, and I'll leave some research below, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here. That can be a long separate video on its own that hopefully I can make in the future. If you have any questions on this that you want specific answers to, be sure to leave them below. But doing research on what what reusable items you potentially want to invest in, and doing research on the lifetime impact of those. That includes various reusable water bottles, straws, replacing plastic items in general. There can be a lot that goes into those decisions, and so as you're preparing to pack and travel, or go about a town or go out and about during the summer, keeping that in mind can be really important. I'll link some research below, and again, as I said, if you have questions, leave them below, and hopefully I can direct to more specific answers or compile them in a video and do a little bit more research that can be a separate video later. With that, let me know what your summer plans are. Do any of these tips help? What other summer tips do you have in terms of travel that can help people travel sustainably? Be sure to leave those in the comments below, and I'll also link my Twitter and Instagram. That's where I like to hang out. So be sure to subscribe below as well, and until next time, talk to you later. Bye.